The consensus amongst psychologists is that there are 5 dimensions of personality: conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, neuroticism and openness. And the interesting thing is that high scores on neuroticism allegedly are more creative. Neuroticism is the trait tendency to experience negative thoughts and feelings of all kinds. So all the way from anxiety to panic to depression. In the old days, people were categorized as neurotic or not. It was more of a typology. The modern idea is more of a dimension, like height. We all have a height. It just so happens that some of us are taller than others. There's of course the folk mythology of the neurotic genius, like Vincent van Gogh, rated as a genius, as a painter, and yet he ultimately committed suicide, and before that he had a long history of unhappy events. Likewise, Charles Darwin had a long history with anxiety, and he brooded long and hard, as we all know, on the problem of where do species come from. We can't really sort of base too much on anecdotes. That's more like just a sanity check, if you like. There's studies showing that when you look at people who earn their living in creative jobs and you compare their personality profiles to people who don't earn their living in a creative job, the creative employees have a higher average score on neuroticism. What we're trying to do with our research is explain why some people are more prone to anxiety than others. We put people in the scanner and we measure their brain activity while they're being pursued on screen. We're trying to capture lightning in a bottle, really, taking all that naturalistic type defensive behaviour that you show out there and trying to measure it under controlled conditions. And there's been also experimental studies where the level of worry has been manipulated, and what they found is that when highly neurotic people were exposed to an experimentally increased level of worry, they had better creativity. So that suggested to us that there's a causal link. It's not just a correlation, it's a causal relationship between worry and creativity. The creativity would come from the self-generated thought. So in order to see a new solution to a problem, you would need to imagine an alternate reality that's not present, because otherwise you'd already know the solution. If jet engines already existed, Frank Whittle would have never had to imagine a jet engine, because he could just look at one. People who happen to be especially prone to daydreams that are problem-focused, it might facilitate their solving of those problems. Because the first step, I think, to solving a problem is thinking about a problem. And the definition of the low neurotic scorer is that they just don't think about problems. They're happy-go-lucky, cheerful, look on the bright side. I don't really see much difference between arts and sciences. It's all just natural philosophy, really, uncovering new territory. So if you're uncovering the mysteries of how the mind works, that is creative in its own way, as much as Picasso uncovering a new way of looking at the human form through art. Anyone who makes a significant innovative discovery can call themselves creative in any field. So I would hope to use discoveries from personality research to improve society. I believe we can uncover a lot more about personality than we already know. We're just scratching the surface. I am Dr. Adam Perkins, lecturer in the neurobiology of personality at King's College London. Cut.